This episode of NSCTV is brought to you by Leonora AAA, Bushrangers Brotherhood, Gilba Project Management, Geelong Firearm Courses, Hunters and Shooters Society of Australia, Ballarat Arms and Military Collectors Society, the Combined Firearms Council of South Australia, Auto Scratch, and Kilsyth Outdoor Store. Welcome to another episode of NSCTV, and thank you to our patron supporters and our sponsors for making this possible. The Western Australian Government recently announced the banning of quite a number of calibers. Its justification for that was the discovery of what it called was a secret underground gun bunker. In this episode, we have a look at the bunker, and we find a number of statements that were made by the Police Minister, Papalia, were actually quite false. Stay with us. I've got David Letizia with me. David is the Western Australian shooter who the media described as having a secret underground gun bunker. David, how are you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good. And I've also got with me Peter Zabradak from the NSC. Pete, how you doing?
Evening, Neil. How you going, David?
Hey, Peter. How are you, mate?
Okay. So, David, you're the guy who the media described as Bunker Man, and that was in relation to a story that the Western Australia government used not long ago to justify a move to basically outlaw some what they call long-range firearms from 1 July. So we thought we'd have a bit of a chat with you just to find out a little bit about what actually happened. And I guess, fair to say that you haven't been an easy man to get hold of. Certainly you have for us, but I can understand why you've been a bit shy to speak with other parts of the media about this. So maybe I'll hand to you, Pete, if you want to have a bit of a chat with David.
David, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you were a licensed firearms owner, and a little bit about your background and your history in WA as a law-abiding firearms owner before you became world infamous?
I've been a shooter for 35 years. Had a firearms license for 35 years. Been a part of a pistol club for 17 years. I'm a corporate shooter for Safe and Sound vermin control, and I do a lot of vermin control for a lot of properties in WA and Darwin and New South Wales as well. So do a fair bit of hunting and.
And David, what prior to you becoming infamous with the police release of that infamous video that literally went viral around the country and it went viral as far as the US goes, what was your previous history and interactions with WA police?
Well, mate, I've never had an issue with them. They've been around probably half a dozen times to that same room and done compliance checks. Especially when the 50 cal, when we licensed the 50 cal, because there was only a few of us in WA that had them. They came and made sure that, and they know what my setup's like, and they've always commended me on how secure my stuff was and how there should be more of it, like that sort of stuff, because I have a pretty safe setup down there.
You'd actually applied prior to all of this happening. You'd actually applied for a firearms dealer's license, which WAPOL refused. Tell us what happened there. It was back in 2021. I applied for a dealer's license because I wanted to be able to help a lot of the people that I go out and do vermin control for, like station owners and farmers that don't get the chance to get too close to gun shops and all that sort of stuff. So as to provide a service, I could bring them up ammunition. If they needed any parts for their firearms, I could do it. I just wanted to do everything properly and the best way I could to just offer another service out there. And I understand initially that WAPOL knocked you back on that dealer's license, and it subsequently ended up in the State Administrative Tribunal under appeal. Is that right?
Yeah, that was right. I got a response back saying that they weren't happy with my business plan. It didn't suit the needs of a dealer's license, and I thought I had a really good business plan putting together just to be able to service the community, but they didn't see it that way. So I took them to SAT.
And you were successful in SAT. They were ordered to reconsider. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was funny. We were there for 10 minutes and we all come out of there, and I couldn't actually believe it. I thought, well, geez, that was bloody easy. Why was it so hard from the start? And they said just got to finish the application the way I started it, and had to do the exam and all the things that we expected to do, and meet the requirements of a dealer, having the right safes and media and the CCTV and all that stuff, the base and all that sort of stuff, and which we met all those requirements.
Okay. And David, I understand you had 17 registered firearms, long arms,
yep,
and some handguns, as well as the 50 cal. Is that right?
Yep, and 338 Lapua. And I had the top end stuff. I do a lot of hunting up north in the territory, and vermin control and buffalo culling and all that sort of stuff. So we use the big stuff, not the 50 cal, of course. The 50 cal was only a club gun. We used to use it Alavella Station down here.
Okay.
So just to talk about what they call the bunker. Can you just tell us what it is and is not?
Well, I created it about 12 years ago. It's a sea container that I modified, and we had it all engineered, and it built it underneath the office area before I built the workshop on top of it.
It's actually built, I think you said it as a wine cellar originally.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we just wanted a storage area, and so like I said.
Right, so it's a wine cellar. It's a workshop. You use it for reloading and a few other things like that.
Yep. Now I do. I did. I had all my reloading gear down there. I thought, well, nothing's safer if you can't see it. It's out of sight, out of mind. So I set it all up as a reloading room, and
And contrary to what the media was, I guess, suggesting, it wasn't a gun bunker as such, because your guns were stored above ground.
Yeah, they were in the room above it, and certified, and the police had been there, or Walpole had been there probably half a dozen times, probably 7 times, and they know the place back to front, and once again, I've never had an issue with them. They've always been nice, and they've come there, they do their compliance checks and make sure everything was up to standard, which always was, and we never had an issue, and this goes back 30 years as well. I would work with them all the time. They're pretty reluctant on allowing how many firearms you got and all that, but we always sort of made it all happen. Maybe get rid of one, get another one, or something. But I could always talk to them, and never had an issue. I think they knew what I was about. Just a hunter, and then doing the vermin control for all the community as well.
And David, on the day where that infamous video, the police video, was filmed, the police actually didn't know about the bunker. You told them, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. They had a warrant to go through the place, and I thought, oh well, I might as well tell them now, because they're going to start trying to lift sofas up and all that sort of stuff. They're going to have a bit of a hard time. So I told the lady that was the officer in charge. I said, yeah, I've got another room downstairs. I thought I'll just let you know. And she goes, what do you know? And I said, well, there's another room downstairs where I do my reloading. You can see it if you want to.
You can support the NSC's legal actions by becoming a donor at nationalshooting.org.au. This cellar was, I think in the media, Papalia police minister was saying this was the worst offence this individual had allegedly committed, was failing to apply to a local council for approval. So he's latched onto that as being an offence. Now, I think you were telling us before that, in fact, okay, fine, there may have been a bit an approval to install this may have been required, but you're actually going through a process now of bringing that up to requirements. Is that right?
Yep, no, that's fine. It's been approved as the underground room. I just closed the range off. They didn't want the range to stay there, but no stress. So as long as I've got the room still going through approval stage now. It's at the final stages at the moment.
So David, when the video came out the police released that video and as part of the Papalia's war on guns and licensed firearms owners. How did it actually make you feel? I mean, it would have been absolutely very stressful and terrifying. You were portrayed as being some sort of basically a criminal and vilified publicly. And as I said, the video did go viral. It made it even as far as the US. Some of the channels over in the US picked it up. Can you tell us what it did to your reputation and your feelings about it all?
Well, I was shocked. Well, I was we're at the dinner table actually on the week before, and I didn't pick it up, but I saw my wife's reaction. She said, "Did you see that?" And my son, Dad, that's your place. And I still didn't click to me what we were talking about, because this was 9 months later. I'm thinking, no, that can't be my place. And I was trying to get replays on to watch the commercial again, but I couldn't do it, and it was doing my bloody head in, because I was trying to find what the hell did they see that I didn't see, And then I saw it the next night that they were going to play it on the Monday night, and I was horrified. I thought, my God, why would they wait so long to do that? But what was the purpose behind all this? It really done my head in, because there was a lot of people that I didn't tell about it, especially family members. I didn't want parents and stuff to worrying about what was happening. And anyway, it was a real shock to the system.
Naturally, can fully understand that, and the timing of it was just dreadful. It was something that was used by Papalia in particular to justify what he was trying to do. So they sat on it for as you said, 9 months, and then released it. And perhaps if Papalia's campaign wasn't going at the moment, I doubt the video would have even seen the light of day.
Well, that's exactly. I was shocked, and I couldn't understand why. I didn't even know straight away why it was there. And then I heard the next day that they had made these the changes in the gun laws and all that sort of stuff, and they used me more or less as a scapegoat, saying that this is why they done it, because of what I had.
Yeah.
That was really upsetting. Especially being a shooter and for 35 years now, and
So, David, in terms of going forward, I think the story talked about you pleading guilty to some charges, and contrary to, and correct me if I'm wrong, but contrary to perhaps the way it was written up, it's not really in relation to the guns at all. It's in relation to, you're saying there's a vest and a suppressor that you were charged with and you pled guilty to. Can you just tell us about the vest and the suppressor, please?
Well, once again, I don't want to sound like I'm making excuses of myself, but the vest was something that I found at a tip site maybe about 10 years ago. We were actually shooting crows out of the tip site for a mob there, and this was a bag there, and it had some desert camo sort of stuff in it, and I tipped this bloody jacket out of it, and worst mistake of my life, bloody grabbing it, throwing it in the car, and I kept it on top of my vault, one of my shelves downstairs, and never even thought about it. I never believed it was a true vest. It didn't have any plates in it or anything, but apparently it was a Kevlar vest. And but like I said, it was the last thing I'd put on and let someone shoot at me. But yeah.
So the moral of the story is, with at least the vest, is find clothing at the tip.
Mate, leave it at the fucking tip. Excuse me.
Don't take it. Okay. Tell us about the suppressor, please.
Well, that's another story. That never fitted any of my firearms. It was, it sounds weird. It would just sort of been around for probably about 15, 16 years since the old man was around, and it just sort of, I should have got rid of it. I should have done a lot of things. But what I did use it for was a bloody a booster base for the CB aerial on my buggy, just to get the aerial to protrude over the roof. I needed an extension, so I thought, this will be great. So I put a long rod through it with a nut, and had the wire and all that running through it. And that's the only time I ever use it, because it never fitted in any of my firearms.
Did it work?
It did. It worked well.
Good.
And you would have known the difference between what it was. It would just look like a booster base.
You can support NSCTV by becoming a subscriber at nsctv.com.au. So with a wine cellar, old clothing, a CB antenna base, that's pretty much what this has come down to.
Yeah,
Okay.
it turned my life upside down.
Um,
My joy, my passion of hunting and sharing that with my son and my family was just it's a pretty hard one to swallow. Very hard.
You actually didn't lose your firearms, is that correct?
Exactly. Yeah, that's another thing that a lot of people said that they were destroyed. My firearms were never destroyed. I had there was no criminal activity due with the firearms, so they couldn't destroy them. They were in my possession. They were in a dealer's possession at the present. I've got rid of a lot of them. I've sent some over east where the ones that were going to be were banned anyway. So to people over there where they can use them. The other thing, a lot when I did go to court, there was no I don't know the word you just mentioned it a minute ago, but there was no ruling from the judge that I would lose my license either. I didn't think that I was actually going to lose my firearms license because it was never brought up by the prosecutor or the judge. But yeah, Walpole they took it off me about a month late after that, so I still had my firearms license for about 2 months after all this happened.
And just on that, David, to clarify, they took your license on what basis? Was it the old not fit and proper clause?
Yeah, not fit person to have that, and yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Thought after 35 years it might have meant something, but doesn't mean jack shit. Yeah, we done all the right things with it. It's going to destroy a lot of the sporting events. You know, there's a lot of people that use them and just love laying down shooting paper. You know, that wasn't for me. You know, I was more of a vermin control, and I like to if I had to shoot a camel and it was at 600 or 700 meters away, and I hit it with a lapua, she would go down. She wasn't going to walk away half injured across a paddock and not going to be able to get it. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know, like 308, 300. I've shot thousands of things over that, but when I hit them with the lapua, they stay down. You know, and you know, just over that distance of 500 meters, it makes a big difference. You know, and we've got those properties in WA. You know, we've got millions of acres. You know, where we, you know, a couple of the vermin control places that I've been on, it's over 1 million acres in around Leonora and Laverton, all that sort of stuff. You know, and you're doing shots. There's nothing wrong with doing a shot over 500, 600, 700, 800 meters. I've done it many a time, you know.
Absolutely. And with the 50 cal, you were saying that you'd taken that up to Ellavale?
That's where it was licensed for. It would be a beautiful gun to be able to take it out to other places. But in New South Wales, it's on an open license, and I've hunted with it over there shooting deer and that. They're a beautiful cartridge, you know, to over that long distance, you know. And but yeah, they've taken them away now. So,
Just going back to the article appeared in WA today, Papalia, the police minister, told the paper this person being you was a licensed firearm owner. Most of the weapons down there were licensed. So, can you just clarify, were most of the firearms licensed, or were they all licensed?
Every one of them was licensed. All of my firearms were licensed.
So Papalia's got it wrong.
David, when the story came out on TV and you became infamous, I dare say you probably would have been absolutely bombarded and hounded and would have had media at your front door and all of that stuff. And you didn't speak to any of them. And you reached out to the NSC and you and I had a chat over the phone and you were actually grateful that we would give you the opportunity to come on and tell us your side of the story and actually reveal the facts. So get rid of the maybes and what ifs and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I thank you for that. Why did you specifically look at the NSC and come to us?
Because, mate, I couldn't trust the other ones. Yeah, I know it was, I don't know who gave who information, but as far as I'm concerned, they were telling bullshit, you know, and that's the only reason I wanted to come forward and just to say a few things straight, you know, and I wasn't going to go to Channel 7 or Channel 9 after what they protrude me through the week before or anything, you know, just like I'm not going to cop it twice, you know, and you mentioned I saw your site come up and I started taking a bit of notice of it, and then you sent me a message, I think, and came from there. I thought, well, I think I can trust these guys. I'm not here to plead my case and feel sorry for myself or whatever, but yeah, it's a hard one to swallow, mate. I'll give you the tip.
David, I thank you on behalf of the NSC for actually having the courage to come forward and to tell your story. I'm very appreciative of the fact that you've done so, especially to set the record straight, which I think is absolutely vital with everything else that's going on in Western Australia. And again, big thank you for the opportunity to do that. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, and mate, let's hope you get your firearms license back at some point and put all this behind you and move on.
No worries, mate. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. And, hopefully it makes a difference. And anyway, we'll just see how we go.
Okay. David Letizia, thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you very much for your time.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of NSCTV and trust you'll agree with us when we say that Paul Papalia needs to resign. He needs to go. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel here and tell your mates about it so they can do the same. We'll see you later.